They say everyone wants happiness, but for the avoidant, happiness is not safety. Happiness is not comfort. Happiness feels like danger. Because when they are happy with you, their walls start to slip, their defenses begin to crack, and suddenly, they are no longer hidden. They are seen. They are vulnerable. They are open. And for them, that is the greatest risk of all. You see, the avoidant does not fear being unhappy. Unhappiness feels familiar, predictable, even survivable. They know how to live in distance. They know how to survive in silence. They know how to cope with coldness. But happiness with you, that feels like standing on thin ice. Beautiful, shining, promising, but always at risk of breaking. And that is why the avoidant fears being happy with you. For most people, happiness and love feels like safety. It feels like proof the relationship is working, like confirmation that they chose the right person, like permission to finally relax, to breathe, to trust, to rest in love. But for the avoidant, happiness feels like danger. It feels like something fragile, something fleeting, something they cannot hold on to. And because they cannot trust it, they cannot rest in it. This is why, when things are going well, you see them retreat. This is why, right after moments of closeness, they suddenly create distance. This is why, after you share a beautiful laugh, a deep connection, a tender kiss, they go cold. They shut down. They withdraw. You're left confused. You're left asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Why did they change? Why are they pulling away when everything was good? And the answer is this: nothing changed. Not on your side. Not in what you gave. Not in the way you showed up. What changed was their nervous system. What changed was their internal alarm. What changed was the voice inside that whispers, "This is too good. This won't last. Don't trust it. Protect yourself before it's taken away." That voice was not born with them. It was built long before you. It was shaped in childhood. It was shaped in the moments they reached for closeness and found rejection instead. The times they opened their heart and were left disappointed. The moments they believed they were safe, only to discover they were not. So now, their body remembers. Their heart remembers. Their mind remembers. And happiness doesn't feel like joy. It feels like risk. It feels like vulnerability. It feels like waiting for the fall. This is the paradox of the avoidant. Unhappiness feels safer than happiness because unhappiness is predictable. It matches their expectations. It confirms their deepest belief that closeness ends in pain, that intimacy always costs something, that love cannot be trusted to last. So when the relationship is heavy, they know how to cope. They know how to handle silence. They know how to retreat. They know how to numb. But when the relationship feels light, when it feels good, when it feels safe, that's when panic rises. Because safety feels foreign, joy feels dangerous, and happiness feels like a trap. This is why they sabotage. Not because they don't feel the happiness, but because they feel it too deeply. Because it matters too much. Because you matter too much. You may notice the pattern. Right after a beautiful moment, an intimate night, a deep conversation, they grow distant. They become quiet. They shut down. And to you, it feels like rejection. It feels like they don't care. It feels like maybe it wasn't real. But to them, it's survival. To them, it's control. To them, it's protection. The cruel irony is this: the happier they are with you, the more terrified they feel. Because happiness exposes them. Because happiness means they need you. Because happiness makes them vulnerable to loss. That is the truth they will not say. That is the fear they will not name. The very thing they want, connection, joy, intimacy, is also the very thing they fear most. They do not fear unhappiness with you. They fear happiness with you because unhappiness can be managed. But happiness means they're invested. Happiness means they're open. Happiness means they're at risk. Imagine this. For you, happiness feels like standing in the sun, warm, steady, safe. For them, happiness feels like standing on thin ice, shimmering, beautiful, promising, but fragile. One wrong step, and it all collapses. So they brace themselves. They retreat before the fall. They pull back before the ice breaks. And you are left confused, wondering why your love feels like a threat to them. But here is what you must remember. When they retreat after joy, it does not mean the joy wasn't real. When they distance after closeness, it does not mean they didn't feel it. The truth is, it means they felt it too much. It means it mattered. It means you mattered. Their fear of being happy with you is proof of the depth of what they feel. Because if you were nothing, if it meant nothing, there would be no fear. There would be no retreat. There would be no walls. The fear itself reveals the truth. You touched something real. You reached the part of them they keep buried. You gave them a glimpse of what they want most, but are most afraid to lose. That is why they pull away. That is why they go cold. That is why happiness does not last long in their hands. It is not rejection. It is not lack of care. It is fear disguised as distance. It is love dressed as retreat. And that is why the avoidant fears being happy with you. Happiness with you should feel like peace. But for the avoidant, it often feels like pressure. Because in their world, happiness is never neutral. It is never simple. It always carries weight. It whispers, if I am this happy with you, then I have something to lose. If I let this feeling in, then I am not in control anymore. If I allow myself to enjoy this, then I am exposed. And to someone who has lived a lifetime protecting themselves, being exposed is the one thing they cannot allow. So the very happiness you create with them, the laughter, the shared moments, the quiet nights that feel safe, becomes the very trigger that pushes them away. Not because they don't feel it, but because they feel it more than they can hold, more than they can handle, more than they can trust. This is what makes their love so confusing. They don't withdraw when things are bad. They withdraw when things are good. They don't leave when the relationship feels heavy. They leave when it feels light. It's a paradox that leaves you questioning yourself. And yet, to them, it makes perfect sense. Because good has never lasted in their world. Good has always been temporary. Good has always been followed by loss. Think back to where it started. In childhood, the little moments that shaped them. The times they laughed freely, only to be told to stop. The times they reached out, only to be ignored. The times they trusted, only to be let down. Their body remembers. Their heart remembers. Their nervous system remembers. So now, as an adult, when happiness enters, their body braces, their mind prepares, their heart tightens, and instead of sinking into the joy, they retreat, they shut down, they run, not because they don't want you, not because they don't love you, but because love feels like risk, joy feels like risk, happiness feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. It's easier to stay on flat ground, even if it means loneliness, even if it means coldness, even if it means emptiness, because emptiness is predictable. But happiness is fragile. Happiness can be taken. Happiness can be lost. This is why they sometimes sabotage, why they pick fights out of nowhere, why they disappear after intimacy, why they go quiet after laughter. They are not trying to hurt you. They are trying to protect themselves. They are not rejecting you. They are rejecting vulnerability. And yet, ironically, that very rejection creates the pain they fear most. Because the more they run, the more they feel the loss of you, the more they protect, the more they feel the loneliness, the more they fear happiness, the more they guarantee unhappiness. It is a cycle they do not fully understand, and it leaves you carrying the weight. It leaves you questioning yourself. It leaves you wondering if their love was ever real. But here is the truth. Their love is real. Their happiness with you is real. Their fear is what distorts it. You see in their heart. They want the joy. They want the closeness. They want the peace you bring. But in their nervous system, joy feels unsafe. Closeness feels suffocating. Peace feels like the calm before the storm. So they push it away. So they pull back. So they silence themselves. This silence is not emptiness. It is noise. It is the sound of every past wound echoing inside them. It is the sound of fear louder than love. And here's the most painful part. When they distance themselves, they hurt too. They are not untouched. They are not immune. They feel the ache of losing you, even while you are right in front of them. But they choose the ache they know over the joy they fear, because the ache is survivable, but joy feels fragile. Imagine holding something beautiful, something precious, something delicate, and instead of enjoying it, you fear dropping it. You fear breaking it. You fear losing it. That is how the avoidant feels unhappiness with you. They are holding something too valuable, and instead of feeling lucky, they feel unsafe. This is why their fear is not about you. It is not about what you give. It is not about how much you love. It is about what happiness represents to them. Happiness represents exposure. It represents risk. It represents everything they swore they would never feel again. And so, even though they want it, even though they crave it, they run from it. They punish themselves with distance. They punish you with silence. They sabotage what they most desire. But underneath all of it, the truth remains. They do not fear you. They fear happiness. Because happiness makes them need you, and needing you feels like danger. This is the quiet battle of the avoidant. The struggle between their longing and their fear, between their desire for closeness and their instinct for protection, between their love for you and their terror of being hurt by you. And until they face that fear, happiness will always feel unsafe, not because of you, but because of what happiness wakes inside them. There comes a moment in every relationship with an avoidant when you feel the tension between their heart and their fear. You can sense it. You can feel it. You can see it in their eyes. They are with you, but not fully with you. They are present, but already pulling away. They are laughing, but guarded. They are holding you, but with one foot ready to step back. And you ask yourself, why? Why fear the very thing they say they want? Why retreat from the love they secretly crave? Because for them, happiness is not just a feeling. It is a mirror that reflects everything they have avoided seeing, a mirror that shows them what is possible and what could be lost, a mirror that makes their walls look smaller and their wounds look bigger. When you love them well, they cannot hide, they cannot disguise, they cannot distract. Your love brings them face to face with the one truth. They have spent a lifetime escaping. They need connection. They need closeness. They need you. And this is terrifying, because needing means depending. Depending means risking. Risking means losing. So the closer they feel to happiness, the stronger their fear becomes. The safer they feel with you, the more unsafe it feels in their body. It's the paradox that defines them. What they crave most is also what they fear most. What makes them come alive is also what makes them want to run. And this is why their patterns are so confusing. They may suddenly go cold after a deep night of connection. They may pick a fight right after intimacy. They may disappear after laughing with you. To you, it makes no sense. But to them, it restores balance. It calms the storm inside. Because when happiness grows too big, it feels like a trap. It feels like they are standing in quicksand. It feels like they are losing the one thing that has kept them safe their whole lives. Control. Control is their lifeline. Control is their safety net. Control is their invisible shield. But happiness threatens it. Love threatens it. You threaten it. Not because you are unsafe, but because you make them feel too much. And feeling too much was never safe in their story. So when you give them joy, they smile, but inside they panic. When you bring them peace, they hold it, but inside they brace. When you love them deeply, they lean in, but inside they prepare to pull away. And when they pull away, you feel rejected. But the truth is, they are not rejecting you. They are rejecting the fear happiness wakes up inside them. This is why you often feel whiplash with them. One day, they are warm. The next, they are cold. One day, they lean in. The next, they vanish. One day, they let you close. The next, they slam the door. It is not because their love is fake. It is because their fear is stronger. Fear of being hurt. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of being dependent. Fear of being exposed. And yet, what they don't see is that in running from happiness, they create the very pain they are trying to avoid. They fear abandonment, so they abandon first. They fear rejection, so they reject before you can. They fear being hurt, so they create the hurt themselves. This is the tragedy of the avoidant. The very walls they believe protect them are the same walls that keep them lonely. The very distance they believe saves them is the same distance that starves them. The very coldness they believe is safety is the same coldness that breaks their heart. And still, they cling to it. They cling to the safety of what is known. They cling to the predictability of what hurts. They cling to the distance that suffocates them because it feels safer than risking the joy they don't trust. But deep inside, they know. They know they love you. They know you matter. They know happiness with you is different. And that's what scares them most. Because this time, the happiness feels too real, too alive, too powerful to dismiss. They cannot laugh it off. They cannot hide from it. They cannot numb it away. You make them feel more than they are ready to feel. And so, they fight themselves. They fight their own heart. They fight the very love they long for. But here's the truth. The fight is not against you. It is against themselves. It is against their history. It is against their fear. You are not the enemy. Happiness is not the enemy. But to them, happiness feels like the most dangerous thing of all. Because happiness means letting go. And letting go means trusting. And trusting means surrendering. And surrendering is the one thing they swore never to do again. The irony of the avoidant is that the more love they feel, the more danger they sense. The closer they get to happiness, the closer they feel to collapse. You think giving them joy will calm their fears, but often it awakens them because happiness exposes them. It strips away the armor. It melts the mask. It makes them visible. And visibility feels like weakness. It feels like standing in the open, without cover, without defense. It feels like being a child again, waiting for the blow to land. For most people, happiness is grounding. It is nourishment. It is safety. For the avoidant, happiness feels slippery. It feels fragile. It feels like holding something so delicate that it might break at any second. So they grip it tightly. And in gripping too tightly, they crush it. You give them love. They want it. They need it. They ache for it. But when it enters their hands, they panic. Because love is not something they know how to hold gently. Love, to them, is unpredictable. Love, to them, is dangerous. Love, to them, is loss in waiting. So even as they taste happiness, their body braces for pain. Even as they smile with you, their mind whispers, "This won't last." And because they believe it won't last, they behave in ways That makes sure it doesn't. This is why you see the pattern. The sudden withdrawal after closeness, the coldness after warmth, the silence after joy. To them, it is not sabotage. It is survival. Pulling away protects them. Shutting down calms them. Silence keeps them safe. But you feel it differently. To you, it feels like punishment, like betrayal, like rejection. And this is where so many relationships break. Not because the love isn't real, but because the fear feels more powerful. The avoidant does not realize that their silence speaks louder than words, that their absence cuts deeper than conflict, that their coldness wounds more than anger. They think they are keeping peace. They think they are holding control. They think they are saving themselves. But in truth, they are pushing away the one thing that could heal them. Because happiness, real happiness, demands presence. It demands risk. It demands openness. And those are the very things they swore to avoid. When you make them happy, you threaten the vow they made long ago. Never again. Never again will I depend. Never again will I need. Never again will I be weak. Never again will I be left broken. But with you, that vow feels shaky. With you, that wall begins to crack. With you, they feel what they thought was gone. This is why happiness is dangerous. Because it tempts them to believe. It tempts them to trust. It tempts them to surrender. And surrender feels like death. Not to you, not to me, but to their nervous system. Surrender feels like annihilation. This is why they flinch when you get too close. Why they retreat after intimacy. Why they run when love feels safe. It is not the happiness itself they fear. It is what happiness awakens. The longing, the need, the vulnerability, and most of all, the possibility of losing it. Because for the avoidant, loss is unbearable. So unbearable, they would rather never taste happiness than risk feeling it vanish. This is why they tell themselves stories. This isn't real. It won't last. They'll hurt me eventually. These stories protect them, but they also imprison them. They think they are saving themselves from pain. But in truth, they are living in pain already. Lonely pain, silent pain, hidden pain. You see, the avoidant does not avoid you. They avoid themselves. They avoid their own feelings. They avoid their own wounds. And yet, you awaken all of it. Not because you are wrong, but because you are right. Because you are the very thing they secretly want most. And so, they fight, not against you, but against the war inside. The war between desire and fear, between closeness and safety, between joy and self-protection. And it is a war they rarely win. Because when happiness calls, fear shouts louder. When love opens, walls slam shut. When you lean in, they step back. It breaks your heart. But know this, it breaks theirs too. Because behind the mask, they want to stay. Behind the silence, they want to speak. Behind the distance, they want to be held. They are not cold. They are scared. They are not rejecting you. They are rejecting the terror happiness stirs inside. And so, they run from the very thing they cannot live without. The saddest truth about the avoidant is not that they cannot love. It's that they cannot allow themselves to fully feel the love they already have. You may see their distance as rejection, but often they are simply drowning in emotions they don't know how to swim through. They fear joy because joy awakens grief. They fear intimacy because intimacy awakens terror. They fear love because love awakens loss. It's not you they are running from. It's the storm inside themselves. And yet, here is the paradox. The avoidant is loyal in secret. They think of you when you're gone. They watch your life from afar. They replay moments in their mind. Like old film reels, they may push you away in presence. But in absence, They carry you everywhere. This is the hidden ache most people never see, because the avoidant will not tell you what you mean to them. They will not confess how much they care. They will not show the depth of their attachment. Instead, they keep it locked away. A silent loyalty, a hidden devotion, a love that refuses to die, even as they pretend to starve it. They believe silence keeps them safe, but silence only keeps them lonely. They believe walls protect them, but walls only make them prisoners. They believe distance shields them, but distance only deepens the wound. And yet, if you look closely, you'll notice cracks in the armor, a text they didn't mean to send, a look they tried to hide, a presence that lingers long after they claim to have moved on. These are the truths they cannot erase. These are the signs they cannot bury. These are the proofs that love has already claimed them. So why then do they resist the very thing that could heal them? Because to embrace happiness, they must let go of control. And to let go of control, they must trust. But trust feels like walking blindfolded into the same fire that once burned them. They would rather control the pain than risk surprise. They would rather suffer in silence than gamble on joy. They would rather live half a life than risk losing the whole. And this is why you will always feel their push and pull, their presence and absence, their warmth and coldness. It's not a game. It's not manipulation. It's not malice. It's fear. Raw, ancient, unrelenting fear. Fear that happiness will betray them. Fear that joy will vanish. Fear that if they allow themselves to open, the pain of loss will kill them. But here is where you must listen closely. Your love cannot cure them. Your consistency cannot change them. Your patience cannot heal them. Because the battle is not between you and them. The battle is within them. Until they choose to face it. Until they choose to heal it. Until they choose to believe love is safe. Nothing you give will land. But this does not mean your love was wasted. Every smile you gave, every safe moment you offered, every hand you extended is already stored in them. Even if they pretend otherwise, even if they deny it, even if they push it away, it lives inside them. It lingers. It shapes them. And one day, whether near you or far, they will realize that happiness was not the danger. It was the gift. That joy was not the threat. It was the medicine. That love was not the weakness. It was the strength they needed all along. So if you love an avoidant, know this. Their fear is not proof of your inadequacy. Their withdrawal is not proof of your failure. Their silence is not proof of your unworthiness. It is proof of their wound. It is proof of their history. It is proof of the chains they still carry. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is step back, not in anger, not in resentment, but in truth. Because love is not meant to chase. Love is not meant to beg. Love is not meant to fight walls endlessly. Love is meant to flow, to breathe, to rest. And if they cannot meet you there, it is not your fault. It is their journey, the journey of learning. That happiness is not a trap. That intimacy is not a threat. That love is not a death sentence. But until then, remember this. You deserve someone who doesn't fear being happy with you. You deserve someone who doesn't punish joy. You deserve someone who doesn't sabotage closeness. You deserve someone who leans in when love calls, not someone who runs. And if you're listening to this now, feeling the ache of distance, feeling the weight of silence, feeling the sting of rejection, let this remind you, you are not unlovable. You are not too much. You are not the problem. You are simply the mirror that reflected back to the avoidant, a truth they were not ready to face. And sometimes, the most powerful act of love is not holding on. It is letting go of the illusion that you could fix them, letting go of the hope that your love alone could heal them, letting go of the weight of their silence, and walking into your own freedom. Because happiness is not something you should fear, it is something you deserve. It is something that belongs to you. So choose it. Choose it for yourself, even if they cannot. And when you do, something remarkable happens. You stop waiting for them to open. You stop begging for scraps of connection. You stop losing yourself in their fear, and you begin to live fully, boldly, joyfully, because the truth is, the love you wanted to give them is still inside you. It never dies. It only shifts. It only redirects. It only waits for someone who can receive it. So hold your heart high. Carry your love with pride. And remember, the avoidant may fear being happy with you, but you never need to fear being happy with yourself.